Do either of those messages resonate with voters, or are they just going to be excited about lower interest rates?
I think the people that are already firmly in Trump's favor will take that on board. I don't think anybody else will. I don't think it's a message that's designed to get any more votes. Firstly, secondly, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with reality. You know, there have been times when the Fed has been politicized, and historically. And this Fed has not. And in fact, the great demonstration of this Fed's lack of politicization is when the vast majority of them were confirmed in 2022, because the people that nominated them and confirmed them, Biden and the Democratic majority Senate, wanted more dovish policy. And the moment they were all confirmed, they went off on this hawkish course that appears to have tamed inflation. So, you know, from recent history, this group has already proved, in my mind, that they're not politicized, and they'll continue not to be, I think.
Well, Terry, I hate to go dark on you here, but you started it Sunday with a note to clients with the headline, "Three Shadows Over Fed Rates." One of them you describe as the lowest U.S. political will to deal with the unsustainable trajectory of fiscal debt deficit, which now has the U.S. spending more on debt service than on defense, imperiling the U.S. ability to defend itself. It brings us, of course, to the argument over government funding right now as we deal with funding the Pentagon in a potential 6-month stopgap, something that certainly budget hawks, military hawks don't want to deal with. But this is the story, right, that we're not hearing any service to on the campaign trail, and that this Congress is not prepared to deal with.
Well, right. I mean, you don't hear that you don't hear it in markets. You don't really. I mean, you know, the markets have been nothing but 25 or 50 over the last week. And right. Meanwhile, what you don't see is anything dealing with geopolitical situation. I mean, I don't have to remind everybody about that, but, you know, we've got at least 3 hotspots globally, and more are you know, bubbling under the surface. So you've got that, and you've got this whole fiscal debt and deficit issue that markets are increasingly restive about. The United States probably gets a pass only because the economy here is so much better than the economies elsewhere in the world, whether you look at China, the EU, the UK, for example. So, you know, even in utopia, there's myopia, and there's a lot of myopia going around here. And that leaches into the, and that leaches into the campaigns. They don't think they have to talk about it either.
Yeah, well, what they want to talk about instead is not the deficit, but just taxes and rebates and credits for everyone, it seems. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have both been putting few new things out there this week. Just take a listen, Terry.
Those jobs that we created, and I want people to pay fair taxes and all that, but she's going to be raising your taxes to 50, 60, 70%. And it's not sustainable.
My plan is that no working family should pay more than 7% of their income in child care. Allowing people to pursue their dreams in terms of how they want to work, where they want to work, benefits us all. It strengthens the entire economy.
And of course, Terry, that doesn't include tape of Donald Trump talking about the SALT cap potentially going away. He truthed about it yesterday. We expect him to talk about that when he rallies in Long Island this evening. How are we realistically going to pay for any of this, or is that just not part of the plan?
That's not part of the plan, but then again, we're in the promise everything, the price is right phase of all of this. And it's only when you understand what the mix post-election, what the mix of president plus Congress politically might be, is before you get to the art of the doable and the art of the possible. But the vast majority of this is pandering to get votes, and I love juxtaposing, as you just did, Trump's complaints about Harris and taxation with SALT, which, as you know, because I saw you talking about this morning, was a $1.2 trillion over 10-year matter for the tax bill. So in 2017, so. None of this is sustainable. None of this shows the care or the interest in actually talking about debt or deficit. But then there are no votes in that either.
One of the other shadows you point to, the highest geopolitical risk in over 50 years, Terry. During the White House briefing today, we heard from John Kirby, the White House National Security Communications Advisor, had this to say about this whole pager and walkie-talkie exploding pager incident that we saw in Lebanon. Let's listen.
I'm just not going to get into intelligence assessments one way or another about this. And I would also add that, as we have said from the very beginning, Israel has a right to defend itself. How they do so matters to us, and we don't shy away from having those kinds of conversations with the Israelis as appropriate.
So you're saying Israel is behind these operations?
I did not say that.
Terry, as we consider this story, which is still developing, we could have another day of this for all we know. Add on Ukraine, the South China Sea, as you mentioned. Talk to us about market risk for the rest of this year based on geopolitics.
Well, this is a huge shadow that over the markets, and has been for quite a while. Markets ignore it, but the moment that one of these or more than one of these hotspots breaks out into something, whether it be something catastrophic, whether it be nuclear, the use of nuclear arms in Russia, or an attack on Ukrainian nuclear facilities by Russia. The idea that they don't want to countenance drones anymore. The threat of Ukraine using NATO-provided missiles. South China Sea and the Philippines particularly have been a standoff for quite some time. Everybody knows about the Middle East, and that keeps ratcheting up. It's not going to take much for markets to pull back very sharply and very quickly when any of those goes over, and it's quite a bet that the markets make today in assuming they won't, because on the ground, diplomatically and politically in Washington, nobody's assuming that.